Hello, my babies. So in last episode, we talked about needing to heal from poor money management habits. Today, we're going to discuss how to heal from poor money management habits. Let's get into it. First and foremost, you need to be real raw and real honest with yourself. What are some of the habits that you even have that causes you to handle your money poorly? Do you go out and sign up for things you know you can't afford? Do you spend money you know you don't have? Like, what is the root of the problem? Because if you don't get real and honest with yourself, you're never going to solve the problem. Now, once you've identified where the problem even started, then you can start coming up with some solutions. One of the main things I noticed is most people do not even have $1,000 saved. So that means they're not ready for any real life emergencies. And this may be you if the minute an emergency come about, the first thing you're doing, you're running to apply for credit cards. You're running to apply for loans. You are literally looking to borrow money to take care of your emergency. So the first thing we are going to do is prepare yourself for emergencies. Life happens. It's going to happen to the best of us. It's going to happen to the worst of us. That's just the reality of it. But when you are prepared, it puts you at an advantage versus always being at a disadvantage. I don't want you to constantly have to call mama, daddy, sister, brother, cousin, auntie the minute you find yourself, your tire done popped or something going on with your car. The minute something happens, you can't afford it, those days are long gone. So the first things first, we're going to build that emergency savings. Now, we are not just building the emergency savings. We are also going to store it in a high yield savings account. So that way the money can be making money until that emergency comes. A high yield savings account is different from a traditional savings account. If you currently have a bank account and you might have the checking account and the savings account, when you put money into that savings account, nothing happens. It just sits there. Whereas with a high yield savings account, when you put money in that account, you get a percentage of interest back on whatever amount. Most high yield savings account give you about 3 to 4%, depending on who you have. So let's say you build that $1,000 savings and you put it in a high yield savings account. And the high yield savings account that you have compounds at 4% interest. You earn $40 just for having $1,000 sitting in there, because 40 is 4% of 1,000. Now you do the math if you continue to build on that savings account, which is going to be the goal. That is way better than just having your money sit there and do nothing. So I strongly encourage you open up a high yield savings account. Now, 2 high yield savings accounts that I recommend are Marcus. That's the first one. And the second one is AMEX. If you want to build a relationship with American Express, the best place to start is by opening up a high yield savings account. They don't do credit checks. They don't do background checks. They just simply have you sign up, put in your personal information, and you are instantly granted a high yield savings account. You may not be able to get a credit card right away, but you can get that high yield savings account and start working on that relationship. Now, once you have that high yield savings account open, it's time to start funding it. We're not just having it sit around for decoration or just to say, I got a high yield savings account. No, baby, we putting money in there, and you're going to start with your $1,000 savings. When you are creating your plan to save your first $1,000, this is $1,000 that is only for emergencies. So you are not using this to just shop. You're not using this to go out with your friends or whatever you randomly spend your money on. That's not what this is for. This is for emergencies only. The first thing you need to do is set up a realistic plan. What can you set aside comfortably so that way you can start building that $1,000 up? You may have $25 that you can spare, $30 that you can spare from your paycheck every 2 weeks, every week, however often. I recommend, when you set up your payroll and you give them your direct deposit information, I recommend you go back to your payroll and add your high yield savings account as one of the accounts that your money gets deposited in. So for example, you go to your job, your payroll information, you are going to take your account and your routing number of your high yield savings account, put it onto your payroll information, and you're going to set up whatever amount that you want to automatically go from your paycheck into your high yield savings account. What this does is it takes the work away from you. So now you don't have to constantly transfer the money. The money is just instantly transferred. And it also helps because now you're not deducting money from your paycheck. It was already done for you. When you get your normal paycheck deposited into your account, the money that was supposed to go into your savings is already there. It's already accounted for. You don't have to factor that money in or out. And this just helps you so that way you're not spending the money that you should be saving. Now, also, when you are creating your goal, you need to figure out how long do you even want to be doing this. Don't try to drag this out for a year or 6 months. Try to do this within 90 days because it is realistic and it is possible. You will also find that a lot of the things that you impulsively buy, you know, those times where you feel like, oh, I got an extra few dollars that I could spend. It ain't no bills due. Nothing's due right now. I got some money that I could play with. No. That's money you should go ahead and throw into that high yield savings account. So that way you can get your goal accomplished faster. Trust me, it's going to feel so much better when you realize you are now a part of the people that have $1,000 saved. Once you have your plan set on how much you're going to be putting aside so that way you can accomplish that $1,000 goal, do the work. Go ahead and start working on it. Once you have your first $1,000 saved, it's time to move on to the next step. The next thing you're going to do is start paying off your current debt. The reason why you don't need to try to start paying off debt before you have an emergency fund is because the minute you start throwing all of your extra money at your debt, as soon as you have an emergency, you're going to fall right back into debt because you don't have the funds available. All you have is that available credit that you was just sitting there trying to pay off. I'm sure you've experienced it because I've experienced it. I've tried to do the work backwards where I thought, oh, I'm just going to pay off my debt. I'm going to pay off my debt. The minute an emergency happened, I had to go spend that money from those credit cards because I didn't have the emergency fund set aside. But if you do it emergency fund first, pay off debt second, you have cushion and you have room. Why? As soon as an emergency happened, you could pull from that $1,000. You good. So make sure you do it in order so that way you are not working backwards. Now, when you are paying off your debt, one of the methods that I strongly recommend is the snowball method. That is when you take all of the debt that you currently owe, and this is debt that is still good, not debt that went to collections. You're going to have to focus on that after you get done with this, okay? One step at a time. So you are going to take every current credit card, every loan that you owe, write it down. When you are using the snowball method, you are literally going to take the smallest balance and you're going to start paying that off first. While you are focusing on the smallest balance, you are still going to be making the minimum payments on all of your other credit cards and other loans. But your main focus is paying down the smallest balance first. So how this would look is I'm paying all of my credit card minimum balances, but I'm throwing extra money at the smallest balance. Next thing you know, that's paid off. And if you are the type of person that like instant gratification, you like to see results fast, the snowball method is chef's kiss. It is going to show you that you are putting in work and it's working. Me personally, I was able to pay off all of my debt using the snowball method because once I started really seeing those balances decrease, I started getting happy. Now I'm excited. Now every dollar I get that's extra, I'm sending it to the credit card. I need this done. I need this balance paid off in full. So I highly recommend the snowball method. And you could definitely research it so that way, if I didn't explain it good enough, you can find different ways that explain it more in depth. But basically, that's what it is. Now, if you are more disciplined, then you can try a different approach to paying off your debt. I would recommend, again, this is for the more disciplined. This is for people that are okay with not seeing results right away. You're going to take all of your debt that you owe currently, write it down, and also write down the APR. The debt with the highest APR, you are going to aggressively pay that off first, while you still pay the minimum balance on all of your other debts. Then you are going to continue to go in order as you start paying those off. The reason why this is going to help you, and it's more so going to help you in the long run, When you have high APRs, you are paying a lot of money on interest. So if you start paying off those debts first, you are going to save you some money. And I'll give you a practical example. So I just crunched some numbers for y'all. So let's get into a realistic example of how your APR on these credit cards and these loans can really hurt you. So let's say you have a 28% APR, right? And 28% is high, okay? But honestly, if you have bad credit, those are the type of interest rates that you are going to be getting approved for. So you got a 28% APR and your credit card balance is $800, okay? Let's say your minimum payment is only $26 a month. And most people think like, oh, $26, that's all I got to pay minimum. That's good. I can handle that. I want you to not think like that. And I'm going to tell you why. If you are only paying the minimum balance, which is that $26 a month, but your APR is 28% on that $800 balance, that means you are getting charged about almost $19 a month in interest. If they are adding about $19 a month and you are only paying $26 a month, once those numbers average out, you are basically only paying $7 a month on an $800 balance. Now here's where it gets ugly. If you are only putting towards about $7 a month on an $800 balance, it's going to take you about 114 months to pay off $800. It's only 12 months in a year. So 114 months, that's 9.5 years. Imagine taking 9.5 years to pay off $800.
Oh, hell no, man.
Now you see why it's so important to get these people their money. Please do not think because the minimum balance is doable that you are doing yourself like you winning. You are losing. And guess what? For one, it's going to take you a long time to pay those balances off if you are only paying the minimum balance. And also you are going to be giving those people back way more than just $800. So it's not like with interest, it's not like we gave you $800, you're giving us back $800. No, ma'am. We gave you $800, and if you sit there and think you finna be slow with giving us our money back, you probably finna give us $2,400 by the time you pay off this balance. So it's good to get this stuff done early. So like I say, if you are more disciplined, I recommend paying off the balances that have a higher APR first and then work your way down. That way, the amount of money that you are throwing towards interest is decreased. Now, when you have a lower interest rate, it's better that you're paying those off, later because they're only adding on about $3 to $4 versus $19 getting added and it just looks like you did little to no work. So definitely sit with that. I want you to go look through all of your loans and look through all of your credit cards and write down the current balance that you are carrying each month and write down your APR, because it's easy to sign up for these things when it just looks like I need the money, or I want to have this, I want to have this. Yeah, it's cute then, but it ain't cute when you realize I signed up for $800 and I'm paying back almost $5,000. Because I'm not financially literate. I don't know much about interest rates, and I don't know much about, getting these people their money or how to leverage credit. So you save your $1,000 in your high yield savings account, and then you go ahead and start paying off your debt. And you can use either of the two methods that I explained. Now, that brings me to my next point. Once you have those two things taken care of, the next thing I would recommend is building a savings with 6 months worth of your expenses, your rent or your mortgage, your light bill, water bill, phone bill, car note, insurance, all of the bills that are fixed and they don't really change and you got to pay those every single month. The main bills, not really subscriptions and stuff, but the main bills, you need to save up to 6 months worth of that. Now, this is going to push you into financial freedom. This is more harder. Yes, it's very hard, I'm sure. The economy high, everything high. So yes, I know that will be very hard, but it is doable. So if you are trying to work on better money management habits, that will be your third step. Now, you can also add in investments. Start investing. Once you have your $1,000 saved and you have your debt paid off, you can start investing your money. So that way you can start making more money. I would personally recommend investing your money and also saving that 6 months worth of expenses. You can do that at the same time because it is going to take you some time to save 6 months worth of your expenses. But what it's going to do is give you cushion and give you room to finally breathe. If you want to escape the rat race and escape the paycheck to paycheck hustle and bustle, you got to get some stuff lined up. But it may be hard for you to get those savings built up. So then that's where investing comes in at. Now, when it comes to investing your money, it's so many different ways that you can go. And there's so many people recommending a lot of different things. Real estate, stocks, trading, e-commerce. Like, people are recommending so many different things. But I do recommend you start doing your own research to find out what works best for you and for your budget. What can you realistically start investing in? And then start doing that. But those are the main ways that you can start healing poor money management. I'm telling you, the minute you even start building that $1,000 savings, right then and there, you are going to start realizing how precious, or not even precious, but how important it is to have better money practices. And also, once you start paying off your debt, unless you are around the wrong people, you are going to want to stay out of debt. So it's also important that you get around like-minded individuals. Make sure you are around people that's not just trying to flex. If you are always around people that's trying to flex, you are going to find yourself trying to flex too. If it walk like a duck and it quack, what it is. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, birds of a feather don't flock together. I could be around people and have my own mind. Yeah, that's true to a certain extent. It's only so much of being around people before you start conforming into their ways. They're going to start acting like you and you'll start picking up habits like them. Trust me. I've seen it happen with my own two eyes. I don't care how strong-minded you feel that you are. If you are around a lot of broke people, you'll be the next broke one. So now that you have some practical steps that you can actually use to fix your poor money management, I want you to start using them. First things first, let's go ahead and set up that high yield savings account and start working on that $1,000 savings. I need that to be done, honey. You are going to feel so much better when you can comfortably say, I have an emergency fund. Like, I'm one of them ones. I also have a personal template that I use to track, calculate, and pay off my debt and just stay on top of it. I do have it linked in the caption. So if you want to use the same template that I use that got me my results, go ahead and click that link.